All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Taiwan Honor Cup. My name is Jethro, and with me is Unctious, and we're about to get into Game 3 of Revival versus Arthur.
Oh, this is going to be a big game. This game right here decides who goes on to the finals for, I believe, a fairly sizable cash prize in this tournament coming up.
Yeah, and we are on the loading screen right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be on Belshire Beach Winter Edition, and here we are, spawning on the western side in red. He is the Zerg player we know and love. He is TSL's Revival. And then spawning in the southeastern corner, the Protoss player who showed us a fantastic quick 6-gate push last game. Can he pull it off again? He's SlayerS.Arthur.
Arthur!
that was quite the backup intro you just did there.
I do what I can. I try to build that excitement and yeah, as much as I can.
You sounded like an angry yet desperate mother. Like, Arthur!
Come back, come home. And that's all. All right, Forge Fast Expand coming out from Arthur.
Yes,
We've seen it going in this past 2 games as well, so he's really digging it.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect no less. Forge Fast Expand, undoubtedly one of the, if not the strongest strategy to open with versus Zerg nowadays.
Now let's talk about the spawning pool.
Okay. It's already almost done, and TSL's Revival is at only 7 food.
So this is going to be so early.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is that Nexus going to go down first? Is that Forge going to go down
He's
first?
He's going to go Forge.
There it is. If that Forge goes down, he can actually pile on up in his main and hopefully build a cannon. I think that's the only thing that's really going to help him at this point. Probes are pretty good against Lings, though.
Yeah, I mean, but not that good. I mean, it's going to be so tense, so difficult. Really going to depend on whether or not this Probe Scout catches these Lings on their way out. We did see an extractor trick there, getting every last bit of larva that TSL Revival can, and there it is. The scout has happened. Arthur knows that this is on the way. How will he respond? The Forge is finishing right now. He needs to get cannons and pylons down in the appropriate positions. There he goes.
He spotted that instantly, and that probe was actually just pretending to be a Zergling for a little while, but
yeah.
Here we go.
Cannon goes down in the forward position. Interesting choice.
Yeah, very interesting choice.
Pulling probes.
Coming out to wall off
okay, I like this. I like this. He's going to fight here until the cannon finishes, trying to deny these probes from getting anywhere. Really well played by Arthur. I don't expect this to do any damage, to be quite honest.
No, and beautiful probe micro pulling back those wounded probes as best he can. I believe only 1 probe has been lost at this point, but more Lings coming out, and as long as these probes can hold the Lings here, then he's going to be in a fine position.
Fantastic. Even pulls some of those probes back, knowing that he doesn't want to have probes not mining for too long. Although, I mean, let's see, we have 7 probes sitting here defending, and Arthur has an 8 probe lead, so his economy is superior, despite having these probes sitting around defending.
That's right. That wall off is absolutely beautiful. Just sending one probe out there to see what's going on. He will see that there's Lings, and those Lings are going to say, "You can pass."
Yeah, but I mean, they don't have speed, right? So they can't deny too much.
That's exactly the truth. So these Lings sitting at the front, a couple of probes being pulled back. Doesn't look like Arthur's that afraid at all. In fact, he's going to be able to continue this wall off with more buildings if he'd like to.
Yeah. And I mean, what you just saw there is the perfect response to an early pool. Just gonna stay calm, get the cannon down, and fight with your probes intelligently, and not all that difficult to hold. You know, no reason to panic.
That's right. So a probe actually moved in. Arthur, so smart, wants to make sure that his opponent isn't trying to do some sort of funky expansion out of this. Ling's actually going to get in. They're going to see that Arthur is expanding at this point, but
they might be able to. They might be able to cause a cancel on this Nexus, but he's going to run for the main mineral land instead. He's going to try and do some economic damage. And the question is, how many probes will he kill? He's only killed 1 so far.
Luckily, with any Arthur has demonstrated that his probe micro is fantastic. So if he walls off in the right spots, he's going to be in a really nice position to not really lose. Probably 1 probe max, I would imagine. So we see probes being pulled, actually fighting with their little tickling beams. 1 probe goes down, 2 probes go down, but I don't think anything more than that. Both these Zerglings are in the red, and they will get pushed away very quickly.
Gas goes down as well. Both players teching out of this, as we see an expansion has gone down for Revival as well. About halfway done. So, despite this sort of odd, interesting, little bit cheesy opening, gonna, sort of transition into a more normal game.
Yep. I mean, Arthur is so far ahead economy-wise. His opponent's hatch is finishing up right now, and he does have his own hatch. I mean, he is ahead on probes, like you said, but he also has that advantage of having that forge down, going to be able to get those upgrades when he wants to.
Yeah.
And the cybernetics were on the way.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, both expansions are finishing almost simultaneously, and the probe lead is not so severe. In fact, the worker count's even right now. So TSLRevival is not out of it by any means. He can make a comeback here.
Oh, absolutely. We should see Arthur continuing constant pro production, though. I mean, he has to know that he
Hmm.
needs to keep up with his opponent. He needs to maintain any bit of a lead that he can have. We do see +1 coming out almost immediately, so it looks like he's going to be putting on aggression fairly soon.
Yeah, I think he's going to
That
go for
doesn't look
that +1 push again.
Yeah, I think that might be the case. I mean, last game we didn't see +1 come out.
No.
But, I mean...
But I mean, 6 gate +1, or maybe even 7 gate. It's a pretty standard move, pretty standard 2-base all-in out of Protoss, and could work brilliantly as we see that TSLRevival is throwing down third bases and is going to be focusing heavily on economy.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to try to do everything he can to get any bit of defense he can out of this. If he can get that economy back up and running, then he's going to be able to defend quite brilliantly. The question is, will he have enough time to do that? We see him droning up so hard. He does have that map control. In fact, I would love to see Arthur take back that map control so his opponent has no idea what's going on in his base, has no idea when anything is coming out to attack. And I think that's the thing that made Revival feel safe enough to throw down that third. He says,
Right.
well, I can see that my opponent isn't actually doing anything, so I'm not going to be that worried about it.
But we see that +1 is about halfway done, and now we see the gateways going down. He's throwing down 2 gateways. In the meantime, the stalker should be able to get away. His speed's not finished. But 3 gateways going down for a total of 4. How many will Arthur throw down? That's the question on my mind.
Yeah, I mean, if he throws down even more,
Yeah, there it goes. I think your mic just cut out a little bit. But I'm going to continue to cast, and we see that 5 gateways have gone down, 6 now for a total of 7, so it is going to be the 7-gate +1 push. And I can hear you breathing anxious, so welcome back.
Oh, I am just absolutely out of breath from how awesome this series has been so far. So Arthur pulling back those stalkers, maintaining that map control. This is exactly what he has to do. Keep his opponent guessing. We do see this overlord over here. We do see another overlord in the back who might actually move in to try to get some sort of scout. But I mean, at this point, Arthur, I think.
I mean, he's committed.
He's committed, but his opponent doesn't know exactly what's going on, but he feels like he needs to have enough units out to not only defend himself, but to regain that map control. He knows at all times going on.
Right. And this proxy pylon's not going to get down, so that's a win for TSLRevival.
Oh, absolutely. If he keeps sharking around the way he is, he's going to be in a really nice position.
Although, here we go, the first unit's moving out for SlayerS.Arthur. Just a few stalkers could be vulnerable to all these things that are already on the map. And in fact, TSLRevival, he kind of knows what's coming. He said he tried to do this twice, succeeded only once, and has 8 roaches on the way already. And
but he can't lose these stalkers.
No.
These are actually destroying these. That's 2 stalkers going down. A third one will fall, and perhaps a 4th one. In fact, he might get all of these stalkers.
Yeah, I believe he's going to. And, you know, to be quite honest, this push, this +1 7-gate push, has failed. It's not going to happen now, and it's certainly if it does try and happen, it's not going to work. We see the Robo going down and some more upgrades. SlayerS.Arthur going to go for a little bit of a later push here, but the game not quite going as well as he wanted it to.
I mean, Revival showing that early pool doesn't have to be a game ender.
Yeah.
Not only does he not have to end the game for his opponent, but his opponent might not have to end the game for him. We see even more probes coming out. I mean, that Robo coming down purely for defense at this point. If he can get some immortals out, he'll be relatively safe against this push. But the next push that Revival chooses to do should be pretty strong, unless he decides to go for a 4th base right now, just kind of maintain that lead.
Yeah, and that's really the question. Do you try and get this to a super late game situation, or do you just go for like an all-in push at this point as SlayerS.Arthur? Staying on 2 bases and going for a late game is not an option, so he needs to make a decision. 3rd base or all-in? What's it going to be?
That's right. So now it looks like we saw a ton of overlords coming out for Revival, so it looks like he's gearing up to not only take that map control, but actually have a huge amount of units coming out. In fact, we see 11, 12 roaches on the way right now, and once those pops, his force is going to be absolutely gargantuan.
Right, we see that macro hatch finishing up in his natural, so, I mean, let's look at the worker count. He has 64 drones now, so about 10 more or so, and he'll be done droning, which means that he can just pump out so many units, and when you're doing something like mass roach, the roaches just flood up so quickly, that supply climbs so quickly, that SlayerS.Arthur could be in a bit of a scary position.
So an observer does go out. He does see that there's a ton of roaches streaming out of these bases, and roaches are going to move right on in. Are these lings going to be able to... Nope, they're not going to be able to get us around those zealots.
Cute burrow.
Ling, yeah, I like it. One ling just sitting right out front, going to be able to watch everything that happens at the front of his opponent's base.
Yep.
This observer will once again spot all of these roaches, but even with that information, I'm not sure Arthur's going to be able to hold this off.
I mean, he is chrono boosting out immortals, which is the correct response to a roach push like this.
And he's on 1-1, so his upgrades are definitely ahead.
So, I mean, it is not over for Arthur, but the problem is that if he defends this, he then needs to counter-push and do serious damage. Because as we said before, sitting on 2 bases like this, you need to just push and go all in. You can't 2-base super late game, you know? He either needed to expand or push. He's made the choice now, he needs to push.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if these armies be a little bit, in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So, but luckily, Revival with that Broad Zergling is going to see this entire force moving out. So he's gonna get into a position.
Oh, he's going to go for the counterattack. Beautiful.
Oh, I love it. Oh, he's moving towards that third. Hmm? Is Arthur aware? He's moving around the other side. But here come the roaches, and the army's not that far away. He needs to make sure that he can keep track of where
does he know? I don't think he knows. I think he thinks maybe it's a couple lings. He's about to find out, though. We do see some sentries at the front of the natural force layers, Arthur. More of those patented Arthur force fields going down, blocking those roaches for the time being, and a decent cannon count.